Today, on Storm of Blood, we'll be looking at the changes that Khorne received in the 2019 Errata and points changes. Hello everyone, this video is coming to you right before the end of the decade. Sounds kind of dramatic, doesn't it, being put that way? With quickly touching upon the Winter 2019 Errata and points changes. There's only 3 changes here, but each one has plenty to talk about. Let's dive right in. The first change is in the Errata portion of our document, which I have up here on the screen, which is the rewording of how the Reapers of Vengeance command ability Leave None Alive works. For those of you that follow my posts on the Facebook page for the channel, you can find a link to said page in the description below. Give it a like if you don't mind. I laid out a massive argument towards Leave None Alive being measured from any model with the Reapers of Vengeance keyword. The post is incredibly long, and if I read it verbatim, it'd be longer than this video really needs to be. So I'll also directly link that post in the video description below if you're curious. Moving on, the command ability was simply reworded on the second sentence. The command ability finally calls out that it needs to be measured from a Reapers of Vengeance hero. Let me state that again. A Reapers of Vengeance hero. Not a demon hero. If you recall from my videos covering the Murder Host, which you can find over here, I stated that a demon hero was required in order to use Leave None Alive, as the original wording required a demon model to be measured from. Let me show you side by side, in fact, so you can see exactly what I mean. That's right, you can now totally bury a blood secretor in a mob of blood letters and measure off of him to make the blood letters fight twice. This is pretty sick, honestly, and I'm glad this change was made. It makes it a lot easier to pull off without having to follow some pretty crazy restrictions. I've actually had a test game just a few days ago where I had the said blood secretor put Leave None Alive on the blood letters, and it was really nice because I was able to have my Bloodthirsters and Skulltaker go out and start fighting, or position to have, in Skulltaker's case, to provide the +2 to run and charge to other models to other units, in the battalion to get that bonus. The second change is a simple points drop on Mighty Skull Crushers. They went from 180 points for 3 models to 160 points for 3 models. This 20 points drop doesn't sound like much, but let's look at units inside of our battle tome, as you should, since different factions do different things, so it does not make sense to compare across faction to units around the same points. We have Skull Reapers at 180, and we have Wrathmongers at 140 for 5 models. Note that I didn't specifically call out Blood Crushers. That's because they're the third and final change that I will cover later in this video. Skull Reapers are our elite infantry units with plenty of output and decent defense, but they're on foot. Wrathmongers are a support unit that are very capable of fighting. Skull Crushers, however, are much faster, far more durable with 5 wounds at a 3+ save, and a lot of attacks per model, with the option of having these attacks have rend via the Blood Glaives. I'd really recommend taking the Blood Glaives and taking the Killing Frenzy Blood Blessing. We did lose the Warshine reroll prayer when the Slaves of Darkness battle tome dropped, so Killing Frenzy is essentially our only accuracy buff that's not rerolling once to hit. Let's not forget about the mortal wounds that they can do in the charge, and the hilarity that is putting Bronze Flesh on them. Before, Skull Crushers used to cost the exact same as Skull Reapers, but now they sit right between Wrathmongers and Skull Reapers with a clearly defined role. Charge something, do a bunch of damage, then grind it down. I used to play them as a second wave unit, but they felt unwieldy having to maneuver around to get into the fight, especially in a 6-man unit, which is the only size I recommend them being at. With their point drop, a unit of 6 is now 40 points cheaper than before at 320, which is far more manageable. And they're also the type of units that are a build around me, so using a Gore Pilgrim's battalion is probably a good call. That way they have that extra attack buff and they can go out and do their thing. And now we have the third change. Blood Crushers. They went from 140 points to to a very lean 120 for 3 models. They are only 10 points more than a minimum size unit of Bloodletters. And man, do you get a lot for these extra 10 points. They have 1 less wound and 1 less save compared to Skull Crushers. They keep the mortal wounds in the charge, keep the Juggernaut mount attacks, but these guys are significantly cheaper and can slot very well into a Murder Host list. Just like the Skull Crushers, I don't recommend taking them in any other unit size other than 3 models. Before, Blood Crushers used to be 10 points more expensive than a Bloodthirster of Insensate Rage in a unit of 6 models, which is ridiculous considering the massive difference in damage output. Now, they're 30 points cheaper, so why not take both? Just like Bloodletters, they really want a Bloodsecretor around to make their Hellblades worthwhile. In fact, I think taking Blood Crushers inside of a Murder Host list is something you should do. At 240 points, that simple change means that they're a great front wave unit. In fact, I would recommend taking Blood Crushers now in a Murder Host list because they do something that demons don't do. That is, of course, comparing Bloodletters and Fleshhounds. They have the same type of durability, but they also allow you to send them out, stick, and allow your Bloodletters to come up and then chop down what's left after the Blood Crushers have fought. And that's the Winter 2019 Errata and point changes. We didn't get many changes this go around, but what happened around us, mainly Slaanesh, matters far more. Until next time, enjoy the holidays, and I'll see you in the next decade.